My nationality is Edom. We're the descendants of Esau, and whom most people on this earth call the white people, or the white race. But the Edom in the Bible comes from Esau. He's the twin brother of Jacob, which you can read about in Genesis chapter 25. Esau came out red and hairy like a garment, and his blood showed forth through his skin. So he was from there called Esau, because it means red. And you'll notice that white people, when they get angry or whatever, their skin turns red. Any type of skin condition, it'll be red. It's a biblical description, so you can know who these people are in the earth at all times, even these times, the end times. So yes, I am an Edomite. My thoughts on the Negroes or the so-called Negroes that are asleep in these times, it's kind of sad, but it's actually a really good thing. It's, number one, it proves that the prophecy of the Valley of the Dead Bones, how could these people wake up from their sleep? At least we know that these people are asleep and now they're waking up. Now is the time that they need to wake up. Now is the time. It's getting pretty close, and they are waking up. But no, the Negroes themselves, or what they like to call themselves, or what this whole world likes to call these people, are black people. But that kind of broadens the spectrum. That's like it's just as bad as calling a white person a white person. There's different types of white people, different nations of white people, just as there are different nations of black people. There's different nations of Asian people, or so-called black people, and black is a color. There's no such thing as color when you're naming nations. Nations comes from fathers, and it's really ignorant to call people black people. But if you do the research, the true nationality of the so-called black people is Israelite, or Hebrew Israelites. The true nationality of the so-called black people is Israelite, or Hebrew Israelites. The true nationality of the so-called black people is Israelite, or Hebrew Israelites. And they're a nation of people who descended from Jacob, who was later named Israel, who had 12 sons, who became the 12 tribes, who multiplied into the uncountable number of Israelites that are as the sands of the seas today. Can't count them, there's so many. Yes, they are Hebrew Israelites. And that's not a religion, that's not a cult, it's strictly a nationality, bloodline of people. And it's that simple. They're a bloodline, and you cannot convert into being an Israelite. You can't, change to be an Israelite. You are what your father was, what your forefathers are. I can't claim to be an Israelite because I know for a fact that I'm an Edomite. Israel was not my forefather. Esau was, based on the biblical descriptions. And the Africans of today, they're different from the Israelites. While yes, some Israelites still do dwell in Africa after running into Africa from Israel in 70 AD, that is true. Israelites are spread across the world, across the four corners of the earth. But the Africans the majority are Hamites. They aren't even of the seed of Shem, which is the forefather of Israel, or Jacob. And it's that's kind of the consequence of calling dark colored, or people of color, black people. You would never know the difference between an Israelite or a Hamite, there's a huge difference that in these times must be revealed, because these are the end times, and these people need to wake up, because the Christ is coming for these people, and if they don't know who they are, I don't know how they can be caught up with them. It's the start. You need to know who you are before you make any other progress. It states in the Bible that the Most High's people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. That knowledge is thinking that they're black, they're Africans, they come from Africa, the motherland. No, they don't even realize that they predate Africa. They're from Israel. They ran into Africa, and they don't even have anything to do with Africa. They have everything to do with Israel, though, and that is very important, because Israel was promised a very big promise by the Most High, and in order for them to receive that, they must at least acknowledge their nationality. I can give you is Deuteronomy 28. You can clearly read how they fell, and they would be cursed in the future to come over on cargo slave ships, and they did. That was the American slave trade. Sorry, the American or continental Atlantic slave trade, whatever it's officially called. That was their curse, and that was brought about by the Most High because they fell as a nation. They sinned, but yeah, it's really clear. Like, no other people on the earth ever went into slavery by cargo slave ships, except these so-called, African Americans, which are clearly Israelites because of this very prophecy, this very active thing happening. Revelations 1:14, it clear 14 through 17, I'm sure, clearly states that Christ, who himself was an Israelite, his feet were as a burnt brass, a burnt fiery brass, which you could simply Google search bronze, brass, burnt. It will look exactly like a black person's skin tone, like spot on exactly. It's undeniable. In Revelations 2 and 9, the people in Israel today who got there, in 1948, they're not Israelites. They come from Khazaria, the Khazarian Empire. They're not even Jews. They're not even close to Jews. They're my people. We're Edomites. We're not even close to Israel. Well, I guess we're the twins, but still I can't call myself Israel because I'm the twin. It doesn't work like that. And yeah, Revelations 2 and 9 states, the people over there, and you can put together, are the synagogue of Satan. They're, the Most High knows the tribulations that the true Israelites are going through in these times, the slave ships, all the way to Planned Parenthood, these vaccines, the rich oppressing these people who just so happen to be the poor of the earth. It's discrimination, lynching, like so many terrible things that the other nations have conspired against these chosen people of the Most High. The people in Israel are the opposite of the Israelites. They only want to destroy them. They're only there for political reasons. They're not even there to follow the Most High by any means. It's all just a huge reverse deception that everyone has fallen for, because our forefathers, our grandparents didn't know this really. So how could they possibly teach us and prevent us from this knowledge? But now is the time. People know now. Now is the time to wake up from your sleep, Israel.
And that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed.